Hi, everyone. This is Olga Fleming
And this is Courtney Walker.
from YNR PR. So, today on The New Abnormal, we're going to be talking about health post COVID. A lot has happened since our last episode, and we want to talk about what the world will look like from a healthcare perspective. I know that baseline, I think, as a society, are going to become more germophobic, and that as a result will change the way we interact with one another socially, in the workplace, everything. So it's a very interesting dynamic, don't you think, Court?
I absolutely think. And I think that there's going to be good things that come out, there's going to be neutral things, and there's going to be unfortunate things
Yeah.
as well. So let's talk about the good.
Yeah.
So, good in my mind, if I think about how this has changed, this is a moment of great experimentation. Everybody is stuck at home. And I think as a result, I sort of see virtual health and particularly teledoc becoming a real healthcare force in the market. I mean, if you look at them now, their stock went up from $80 in January. They're now at 140 or something. And I think even calling it virtual health is going to be how we used to talk about the wide world web. It's going to be antiquated. At some point, it's just going to become healthcare because I think people are going to get so used to having their doctor visits at home.
And I think that's a very interesting commentary, because one of the things that I'm thinking about is the current healthcare system, especially if you look at it from the HCP side, has had some issues, especially on a cost perspective, right? Overhead. A lot of doctors are like doctor groups are being bought by large hospital organizations because of overhead. Is there an environment post COVID-19 where you may not need a full office, right? Or you may not need as many people, or you need a different type of specialty because, the way that you deliver care potentially could be through, telehealth. I know from just, personal perspective, my daughter had a dermatology telehealth visit already. And it was great. It was just like, in fact, she probably got more FaceTime with the doctor in that visit than when she would have gone to the office and seen, just the nurse or potentially a PA. So, it's a very interesting dynamic. And I know, and some hospitals are already reporting this, that their telehealth visits are going up through the roof. Thousands of people who are dealing with chronic conditions like cardiovascular disease, diabetes, even cancer, are taking a lot of their appointments virtually. And that says a lot about the system. And I think that we can maybe cut costs from the system by turning to this type of, new way.
Right.
So another thing that we both agree on that will happen post COVID from a healthcare perspective is pharma reputation.
Yep.
So very interesting, right? So pre-COVID, pharma definitely, and it is unfortunate, right? Pharma has helped solve some of the world's most major diseases. They certainly allow us to live longer, live better, but from a reputation standpoint, they've definitely taken a lot of blows. Pharma can be a savior at a time when there's not a lot of options, right? From a vaccine, from a treatment perspective, and everybody. I can't think of any company that hasn't come to the table with an idea, with research, with some way of helping. Question is that enough, Court?
I think they are going to be the savior, just
Yep.
like they were the savior for HIV, and I don't feel like they got nearly enough credit for it. I feel like they didn't get enough credit in the past, and I think that once we get past COVID, we're still going to have the conversation about drug pricing. We're still going to have the conversation about access. All of those things don't necessarily go away. So pharma has to find a way that make sure that this isn't just a bump, because they are seeing, I mean, Kantar did recent research on Pulse on America, which is a national survey, that said that, more Americans particularly have, much more optimism about the pharmaceutical companies. And they have to find ways to sort of maintain that over time.
Right. It's interesting because I think you brought up HIV, and I think we can learn a lot of lessons there from a pharma perspective, where they were the saviors. And then at the back end, you saw protests at booth at many of the conferences because the medicines weren't being given away for free.
That's
And
right.
I think that there is a potential pitfall here where, okay, you come up with a vaccine, you come up with a treatment, are you giving it away for free? And, I think there's going to be a lot of debate and commentary there. That put aside, I do believe that all of a sudden microbiology and pandemic-like diseases will now see a lot more funding, a lot more attention at medical conferences, at even from a valuation standpoint from the street on companies doing a lot of research in this area. But I think pharma has an opportunity to, as you said, not make it a bump in the road, but use it as an opportunity to elevate the reputation of the whole industry. One of the last areas that is we're going to talk about today that we believe obviously is going to be wrapped up in our kind of new world post-COVID from a healthcare perspective is the area of disparities. So obviously disparities, especially in New York and areas that are seeing a spike in COVID cases and COVID deaths, is getting a lot of press. What we also saw today, which is sobering, is that the number of deaths from COVID has now surpassed cardiovascular as well as cancer on a daily basis.
Well, this is what's interesting about COVID to me, is that it put everything on full display.
Oh, yes.
It put disparities on full display. It put our healthcare system on full display,
Exactly.
Good, bad, and ugly.
Right.
And so now we have to reckon with that. And now what is going to happen life post-COVID is that from a disparity standpoint, you can't hide from it anymore.
No, you can't.
So you're going to be on either side of this line at this
Right.
point. And my hope and my optimism is that everybody is going to choose to be on the side of really trying to bridge the gap from a disparity perspective.
Right. And I also think it goes back to the beginning of our conversation, which gives us kind of a nice circle, which is, could it be also that we need to ensure that just basic health, hygiene, and habits are even being adopted across populations?
Right.
And how do we educate people on living a healthier kind of just day-to-day life so that they're not susceptible to certain viruses and bacteria? So we hope everybody has enjoyed following along with us as we talk about kind of this new world order. We hope to see you on our next episode.
Yes.
But for right now, stay healthy and safe. Bye-bye, everyone.